What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful, delicious, smoky, juicy, cheesy, spicy jalapeno cheese smoked meatloaf. Coming up. This is some meat. Ooh, pat it dry. And what I got here is a chunk of some brisket and a big chunk of a pork butt, because we're making a beef/pork meatloaf. Pretty common thing you're gonna see. A lot of people like to throw lamb in there. Some people like to go all beef. You know, it's kind of like sausage making. You can do really whatever you want. But simply enough, I'm just gonna cut these down into little cubes so they fit down our meat grinder a little bit easier and cool down in the freezer a little bit quicker. And I'm not really too concerned about fat content for our meatloaf. Typically, you're gonna be aiming for an 80-20, 70-30, just like a sausage, and pork butt and brisket should get us right in that happy region. Beautiful. What I got here is 1.5 pounds of brisket and 1.5 pounds of pork butt, giving us a 3-pound meatloaf, which is a wonderful size. So into the freezer this goes to chill down so we get a nice smooth grind. And while we wait, let's go ahead and get everything else ready. Starting with some butter. And once nice and bubbly, we'll go in with 1 diced up white onion, as well as a couple of stalks of some freshly diced up celery and some carrots. Just sweating these down for a little bit. We'll also go in with a nice big fat pinch of salt. And we're really not trying to cook these all too far. Just soften them up a little bit. That way we don't end up with any raw chunks of hard vegetables in our meatloaf at the end. But it's been about 4 or 5 minutes and I'm gonna call these done. So set these aside to cool. Next up, it's time to get everything else together. Starting with some homemade beef stock, 3 eggs. Get those nice and mixed up, followed by some kosher salt, granulated garlic, some paprika, some dry mustard, some milk powder to help with the bind, and also some breadcrumbs to also help with the bind, add some volume, and just give us that nice meatloafy texture. And just get that all nice and mixed up, looking good, nice and pasty. And of course, we're gonna go in with all of our veg as well. Get that all mixed up, and our little seasoning spice blend veggie mix binder situation is done. And now all of our meat is sufficiently chilled and going through the grinder. I really wish I had the foresight to just make this mix in this bowl. Would have saved me a dish. Through we go, using the coarse die on this meat grinder today. And we're also gonna send through our jalapenos. Almost forgot. Beautiful. And once everything is nicely mixed up, looking nice and tacky like a sausage or a meatloaf, we can go in with our cheese. I'm going in with some high temp cheddar today, folks. And that may have been too much. We'll find out. Ooh, beautiful. Oh, smelling so good. Smells like a jalapeno cheese meatloaf, believe it or not. So now out it comes into this loaf pan, which I have wrapped in plastic wrap, just to make sure we can get it out of the loaf pan, because this is really just a mold. Not much to it, folks. You just want to make sure you're pressing it right down into those corners. Looking good to me. Now, last time I made meatloaf, I picked up a much bigger foil loaf pan from the grocery store, but they were all out this time, so I had to use my kind of small one. So I got a little bit of extra meat. But what they did have at the grocery store were these cute little guys. So we're gonna take the rest of this and make a tiny little baby meatloaf to go along with it. It's gonna be so cute. Looking good. I'm gonna pop these into the fridge for a little bit to firm up, let all those spices hydrate, let this meat kind of all get used to its new loaf form shape. So we'll check back in a little bit. After a couple hours of setting up and solidifying in the fridge, I think it's time we cook these things off. Starting with the big boy. Ooh, looking very nice. Lovely shape on that, nice and tall. And as for this little fella, beautiful. I did pop these in the freezer for the last like 15-20 minutes to make them a little easier to get out of this mold, and I'd say it worked out perfectly. And before these go in the pit, to follow suit from my last meatloaf making video, I'm gonna hit these with a bunch of black pepper on the exterior because 1, we didn't put any on the inside, and 2, it'll give us that really nice Texas style barbecue bark. Hit these with a little spray oil just to act as a binder. Then we'll bust out the good old 16 mesh black pepper. And just get a nice even coating, folks. And please, don't forget the sides, come on. I wonder if you could do a pastrami meatloaf. That'd be kind of cool. Nice coriander rub on the outside. And obviously you don't have to do this black pepper rub on the outside. You do whatever rub you like, or no rub. But we're smoking these, so I think it should have some black pepper on there. Looking good to me. Let's fire up the pit. Still got some coals in here from a cook I did earlier today, so we just need to throw on some logs. Even sometimes this deep into the night, I still find that pesky little snake in my boot. And on the pit we go. Gonna be cooking them on this sheet tray just to make sure they stay together, because they might want to tend to fall through these grates as they soften up a little bit, and it'll help with cleanup a little bit. But we're gonna be rocking this pit right around 325 today. I'm thinking about going hot and fast and see how it goes. But we'll check back in a little bit. And just like that, folks, off the pit we come. To be completely honest, I was gonna film a little bit more of it, but we just had a horrible rainstorm brush through, and I couldn't get my camera out here. So this has rested down entirely, and it is time to slice on in and see how these beautiful little meatloaves came out. And look how cute this little guy is. How you doing, buddy? Put that on a hot dog bun, shall we? Ooh. Oh, beautiful. As always, we got our nice, juicy little meatloaf burn ends on the end. Nice little treat. Hand these out to the kids. Looking good though. And I really was gonna glaze this one this time because I didn't last time I made a meatloaf, but there's just something so nice about that smoky bark. Even got that little bit of a smoke ring in there. A lot more veg in this one than the last one. Let's get another slice, shall we? Ooh, oh, it's cheese. That's what it is. I forgot this is a cheesy meatloaf. I was like, why is this so orange? It's been a long week. One more slice. I like going these like fatty brisket slices, you know, treating this thing like a piece of barbecue. But there we have it, folks. A nice, juicy, cheesy, jalapeno-y, very dense meatloaf. Very heavy. Love it. I mean, what's not to like, folks? It's a beautiful meatloaf, beefy and porky, smoky, peppery, barky, full of cheese, full of jalapeno, and all the veg. Oh, I'm ready to dive on in. You know, I really wish meatloaf was a less boring topic, because every time I make one of these things, I'm kind of blown away. Yet I never make them. I gotta get better about that. But structure looking good, nice and firm, nice and cheesy. The high temp cheddar really works for this application, because otherwise it'd be gooing out everywhere. We'd have a bunch of holes in this thing. Oh, that is lovely. Oh, wow. That's like the most pleasant eating experience ever. I'm now gonna describe meatloaf to you. It's like eating a sausage, but with less chew. You know, it just gives in your mouth, yet it's still got that dense bite to it. It's a meatloaf, guys. You know, a properly made, delicious, smoky meatloaf. It's so tender. Ooh, jalapeno level, right there. Nice and cheesy. All the traditional flavors are coming through. Ah, this is unbelievable. Whew. Got a bit of a kick to it. Get a little barbecue sauce, a little Leroy and Lewis beef barbecue sauce, a little dip. So good. I am now offended that I've never had a cheesy meatloaf before, because this, I don't know, it makes up for everything that a meatloaf has ever been lacking. With the meat, the cheese, the veg, and the breadcrumbs. It's basically a cheeseburger in a bite. So good. That's really good. I'm sure no one's gonna make this, but I highly recommend you do, because this is absolutely hitting the spot. Ah, and it's perfect on a really doomy, gloomy, rainy night like it is right now. Gross. Little meatloaf burn ends. I need to make this into an actual recipe. Oh, so smoky. And if there is ever a meatloaf for the perfect meatloaf sandwich, I think we just found it, folks. Maybe that'll be next year's meatloaf video. Oh, and we got this little baby guy. I'm gonna pop this in the freezer for a nice little snack down the road. But without further ado, folks, I think it's time for the official taste test. Ooh. All right, y'all, that is it. That is how to make an absolutely fantastic jalapeno cheese smoked meatloaf. I don't know why it took me so long to make this recipe. I've been thinking about it for a long time, because it really is just an amazing combination of flavors. And now having made it, I don't think I'm ever gonna make a traditional meatloaf ever again. And whether you're eating it in low form like I did, or make one of the world's best sandwiches, I highly recommend you give it a try very soon. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.